Hello, everyone, and welcome back to team training for the Oklahoma Housing Needs Assessment. This is the second video in a series of transitioning from ArcMap to ArcGIS Pro. In the last video, we were really talking about some basic navigation and converting files from ArcMap into ArcGIS Pro. And this time we're gonna take it a little bit farther. Yeah, it's sort of a continuation of the first one, where we're going to look at importing some census data. We're going to look at some raster files, but basically we're still, pretty much focusing on the software itself. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So I've got to switch my share out here. I'm going to go over to ArcGIS Pro. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And, so by now you should be pretty familiar with the ArcGIS Pro interface. And this is the same project file that I was working on last time, where we had this layout that we did that had a map of Amelia Earhart's flight. And we've got the map file open, and we've got a layout file open, okay? And so what I want to do here is, if you remember when we did this exercise in ArcMap, we wanted to create another layout here that had some bathymetry data, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new map. And so that opens up a new tab here, and it has again, it brings in a background map, which is kind of useful, but right now I'm not interested in using that. And then I'm going to go over here to my catalog, and I'm going to go to my computer, and then again I've got to navigate down here. I've got my workspace here set to GTK ArcGIS, and in chapter 4 I actually have a map file that I made in ArcMap last time, and so I'm going to see if I can import that, right? And if I right click on it, see it says import and open. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Okay, so that takes a second. And one of the things you're going to find here is sometimes when you import something, it has broken links. And the reason in this case is that we had a personal file geodatabase that had all this data in, and we had to convert that to just a plain old file geodatabase, right? From a personal geodatabase to a file geodatabase. So when we did that, it lost the path to these links because they no longer go back to that personal geodatabase. So what I'm going to have to do here is re-link them. And so I'm going to right click on there and go to properties, brings up my properties window. And again, this looks a little bit different, but it's basically the same kind of thing that we were doing in ArcMap. So we hit set the data source. Because this is the same file that I had been working with in the previous lesson, it already went right back to that new world geodatabase that I made, and it found the cities layer, which is what I needed. So I'll just say okay and hit okay, and then you see that's fixed. Now the country layer is mixing, and I can just you see how I just double clicked on it, left button, double click. So I mean, there's a lot of shortcuts here, and I'm going to do the same thing, and of course it finds it here and hits okay, and hits okay. Now I've got my map showing again. And then if I go over here, I can open up the data folder, and so I can bring back my flight divergence layer in here, and I'm going to right click on that and go to zoom to layer, kind of zoom in on it. And then here's my bathymetry data. So I can hit that, and I'm going to bring in my seafloor layer. And if I want to look at the metadata here, what you'll see here, well, maybe if it will do it for me, is it thinking about it? Hold on, let's see here. Okay, that's it wasn't showing me the message here, but on the seafloor layer, it hasn't been converted here. And if you hit view content, it's really not all that helpful. It brings up the metadata, but it brings it up in an HTML format, which you can probably figure out, but there's a better way to do this. And so what I'm going to do here is go up here to manage, under catalog, and upgrade to FGDC content. Okay, there you go. So it just converts it to a more user-friendly content now. So anyway, that allows us to see that. I'm going to close the catalog window, and I'm just going to drag this layer over here and put it underneath everything. And there's my bathymetry data. Okay, and so this is a raster coverage. And I think if you remember from last time, that the deeper blue the color, the deeper the depth of the ocean. And if I click on it here, you'll get a little pop-up, and it gives you a value, negative 6,144. That's meters below sea level. So that's very deep there. If I click on one of these lighter areas, you can see it's only 891 feet. If I click on an area in Papua New Guinea, okay, it gives me the information about Papua New Guinea. It doesn't give me the bathymetry data anymore. So this is a little bit different than the way the pop-ups worked with the identify tool, where you could kind of just limit it to a layer. Now anything you click on, it'll give you information. Okay, so if we right-click on the seafloor layer and open up its properties, it'll give us some of the information about the rasters, the statistics of the rasters, and that sort of thing. But what I really want to do is look at the symbology. Okay, so if I close that, and instead of hitting properties, when you used to be able to hit properties and you got symbology, well, now they have a separate item on the pop-up menu. So here we go, and then it opens up here, and you can see I still got my catalog underneath, but it has symbology on here, and the default is a single symbol, right? And of course, I've got the wrong layer selected. There we go. And so, if you remember from last time, what it's using is a stretch symbology. In other words, it's stretching values along the color ramp from the lowest to the highest value. But you could go in and change these. So like if we want to do a classification, well, there you go. That's that's using a Jenks method. If you want to use that, but you use a blue color scheme, we can change that. If you wanted to, have 10 classes instead of 5, so we can go in here and modify this data, much like you did before, right? I'm going to go back to the stretch. There we go, and it brought in a black and white scheme, so I'm gonna switch back to the blue. And that's pretty vivid. I think maybe I had one less than that. There you go. So we were able to adjust the symbology and work with the raster coverage, much like we did in ArcMap. And just a few little differences in the way the data is displayed. Now, if I want to go to my layout view and add this, I'm going to add a new map frame. So I'm in the insert menu. ribbon, I should say, map, new frame, and then it gives me options. And so here's some that are open. Well, I want this one, the Earhart flight path. And that's selected. And now I'm going to draw a new window. And when I do that, there you go. It should show, bring in a new map frame and show that. I can zoom to that layer, right? So you can adjust these things just like if we were so there's a layout view. The map view. Okay, so anyway, that's pretty, should be pretty straightforward. So what I want to do now is look at some symbology on some shape files or some feature classes. And to do that, I want to look at some of the census data that we looked at before, and how we can import that. And so I'm going to start a new project here, and go here to new project, new map. And then of course it wants to know, well, where do you want to put this? So I've got to navigate to where I want it. So I'm putting it on my C drive on my computer. In this case, would work the same way if I were putting it on a server, on a network. And I've got this census folder that I started, so I'm gonna call this census example. Okay. Oh, I cannot access it. All right, so. Oh, I see. I have to select the folder, then I need to change the name over here. So that's what I did wrong there. Getting ahead of myself by one step. There we go. And then it wants me to, do you want to save what I did in the previous project? Yes, I do. So it saves that. Now I've got a new project opening up. Right. So when you get new tabs, you only can have one project at a time open, but you can have as many tabs, maps, layouts, catalogs, tables, etc. open that you want. Again, it brings in a background. I'm going to turn that off. And then I've still got my Symbology pane over here. I'm going to close that, and I'm going to go to computer. And again, I've got to, every time I got to navigate down through here and find what I'm looking for. And so in this case, I'm going to go to my OFA folder and find my census data. There's OFA, GIS. Okay, here we go. So in this case, I'm going to use the Tulsa County census tracts, which I've got this shape file here that we put together when we were working in ArcMap. I should be able to just drag that in. There we go. And so there, now you see there's all the census tracts in Tulsa County. Now, when I brought this in, it has it automatically gave it a map projection. So if I go to properties, and you can see here, here's the source, spatial reference. Okay, so North American datum, 1983. And let's see here, if I right click on this, and open the attribute table, so that'll open down here. And so what you'll see here is here's all my my census tracts, right? And it says these are all the census tracts in Tulsa County, and if you remember, these are coded with an 11-digit GeoID. And so I've highlighted that here. And what you can see if you just move your cursor over, you can see this is a text type, okay, of data. Over here, I've got GeoID number 2, and that is, if I can get it to, I'm trying to get it to display the type. I had it there for just a second. Double, right? So it's a numeric type of double precision numeric type. So if you remember right, when we brought these tracks in before, they're in text format, and we had to convert them over to a numeric format because we're going to do a join with a table of census data. And so I'm going to go back over into my catalog, and under my census data, I have this CSV file that has the American Community Survey population estimates from 2023. I'm going to drag that over. And that's a CSV file. Okay, so if I open it, you'll see here that it also has a GeoID, and it has these population estimates. Okay, and so we want to join that. Now, if I look at that, it won't tell me what kind of fields this is because it's a CSV file. So I'm going to have to convert this into a ArcGIS Pro table. So I will go here and I'll right click on it, and we'll go down to Data, Export Table. And it gives it a an automatic location to put it under the census example geodatabase, which is fine. You can tell it to go somewhere else if you want to, but this is fine. So I'm going to hit OK. And then it brings that in. And if we open its attribute table, you can see it will look just like the CSV file, but now I can tell, oh, there you go. That's a double precision field. Okay. So that's, that allows me to activate the fields in ArcGIS, which is what we need to do for joining, right? So now the next step is to join these two together. So I'm going to go back up to my Tulsa Tracks feature class. I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to go down to joins and relates, and I'm going to add a join. And the input table is going to be, I'm going to use GeoID 2. And then I'm going to select my join table, which is the export table I just brought in. We'll use GeoID 2 for that. I'm going to index them and hit OK. And then if you look down here, we can go to the Tulsa Tracks attribute table, and you will see, I hope, that these have been joined, right? There they are. And some of the fields are null, some of them have values, but they have been successfully joined now. I'm going to close these attribute tables and get them out of our way so we can look at the map, right? And so with this, I'm going to right click on the Tulsa Tracks layer and open up I'm sorry, it's just habit. I do that. I hit the properties. I want the symbology. There we go. And then I'm going to, it defaults to single symbol. So I'm going to go to graduated colors. And then, the interface is different, but it has, most of the features are the same for the symbology, but you may have to kind of puzzle it out a bit. So the field that it used was land, and I want to use let's look at the total estimated population. There you go. And so you can kind of see, oh, these are, the total population by census tract. But these are raw numbers, and they're being displayed on different size census tracts. So I'm going to want to normalize this, and I can normalize it by area of the land. Right. And so now you're getting, this is basically population density. But let's say I wanted to look at like what's the white population for these. So instead of the total estimate, I'm going to use the estimate for the white population. And then again, now it's still normalized using area, but I'm gonna divide it by the total estimate. And there you can see, so the redder the color, the greater the percentage of white population of the total population. And you can see that it's using the natural breaks method here. And there's 5 classes. We can change this ramp, right? I mean, if we want to like a brown color, something like this, that's not real pleasing, I don't think. But you can see, you can change the scales, and that's kind of the one I'm used to. That just doesn't quite look the same as what I'm used to. So I'm gonna have to get used to some of these. But you get the idea. You can change the color scheme. Now you can also change the symbology. So if we go here and hit more, we can hit format all symbols. And this is a little bit different, but we can select a symbol, or if you want the properties. Now this is what I'm more used to seeing, right? So like the outline color, the outline width, you can change some of its properties, like we want a little bit narrower or a little bit wider. I can type it in here, 0.5, okay, and apply. And then you just back yourself out there. This is the histogram, which they've changed the format of this, and I don't like it because it shows like this bar chart, and it used to show like a histogram that like all of the different census values would have been shown there in like like a true histogram. So I'm wondering if there's maybe a way to change the format of this. I haven't found it yet, but it does show where the breaks are occurring, and it's showing the mean and that sort of thing. If I want to look at the scales, and show the statistics down here. There's 208 census tracts, minimum of 0.02, maximum 0.99, mean is 6.62, standard deviation, all that sort of stuff, right? That we're kind of used to seeing this. Now, if I go to classes, what I'm trying to do here, I want to let me see if I can do it here. I'm trying to format the labels. Okay, I think these symbols up here control the labels. If I go under advanced symbology, right, format labels. Okay, so right now they're numeric, but they're really percentages, and I don't need any decimal places. I'm going to put 0 in there. Right, and then you can see over here they've been converted, right? And so that's I think that's nice. If I go back here to this one, I can adjust the transparency, and you have to put your fields in again. It will let you normalize them. Let me get the same one selected. Yeah, and you can change the transparency ranges from high to low. So this actually gives you some more functionality here than we had previously. I'm going to go back to none here. If you wanted to set your breaks manually, you hit the little drop down here, and it brings you the manual interval. Again, this I think was actually a little bit easier when in ArcMap, but you can still do it. I think you can see it's still a possibility, right? All right. So anyway, that that gives you a little bit of an introduction to symbology, and we were able to import our census data, much like we did in the past. So our ArcGIS Pro has much the same functionality with a little bit different interface. So in the next lesson, we'll be working with ArcGIS Pro, and I'll try to demonstrate some geoprocessing because that's a little bit different as well. Okay, see you next time.